This is a short core class for my beginner level clients. So we're going to start with some hip rolls. You won't really need any props unless you want some blocks for your head or something like that. But aside from that, you don't really need anything. Okay, so let's start with some hip rolls. No block for your hip rolls. Okay, shoulders nice and wide. Inhale. As you exhale, move through your pelvic tilt, roll through your spine, and roll away from the floor, stretching those knees forward and in front. Inhale. As you exhale, the upper back rolls down, the mid back rolls down, back of the waist, release them down. And just keeping those knees nice and parallel as you roll up and down. If you do have your flex ball to hand, you can always pop that in between your knees, but it's not essential. Ribs nice and soft at the top. Inhale. Exhale, scoop those abdominals, roll back down through the spine. And again, inhale. Exhale, tip the pelvis, roll through. Stretch those knees out, drag the heels back. Inhale. As you exhale, upper back rolls down, mid back rolls down, back of the waist releases and down. Last time, and tipping the pelvis, scooping the abdominals. So just ironing out any tension you might have in your spine at all before we go into our core section here. Rolling all the way down. Find your neutral, find that little arch into the lower back. If you prefer a block, pop that back underneath your head now, and let's just go into some toe taps. So bringing one leg into tabletop, feel the weight of the sacrum, bring the second leg up. Okay, and then just alternate, taking those toes away, keeping the legs at 90 degrees if you can. If you find that too challenging, then let the lower leg drop down a little bit. Okay, and just alternating, maybe using your exhale to help you keep that abdominal position, and always remembering that if neutral is too hard for you to maintain with your toe taps, you can always imprint your spine, so flattening the lower back into the floor and keep moving through your toe taps. Remember that sticky glue pot on the floor down there. As you go to bring your leg back up, make it hard to drag it back up. And let's just do one more here. And dragging back up. So taking those feet back down to the floor, reaching your arms up, relax your shoulders back into the mat. Okay, let's go into some dead bugs now. So starting with the feet down on the floor, we slide the opposite arm and leg away from the center, keeping the base of the rib cage drawing down onto the mat. Maintain those hips nice and level, and just really kind of think about what's happening in your torso as you move your arms and legs away from the center. Are your hips swinging from one side to the other? Try and stay a little bit more level. Okay, remember, it's important on what's happening on the non-moving side as it is on the moving side. If you want a little bit more challenge, you can bring your legs up into tabletop, but only if it's the right option for you. So feel now what's happening in your spine as you start to alternate and take your legs out on that high diagonal. Pulling those abdominals back, feeling that extra challenge there to your body. Okay, one more on each side. And last time. Lovely. Okay, take those legs down to the floor. Take your arms back onto the diagonal. Start with a bent knee, but extend your legs away from you as we come into our roll-up. We inhale, vertical arms. We exhale to peel away from the floor. Stretch forward. You can stretch your legs out to get that really nice stretch in the back of the body. But then bend your knees to roll your spine down. Tip the pelvis, reach both arms forward, roll all the way down. Remember, if you do find roll-ups a challenge, remember you can always use a flex band around the feet to help you control as you start to roll back towards the floor. So scooping those abdominals, reaching both arms forward, rolling back and down. Okay, two more of these. Inhale, exhale to draw the ribs to the hips. We roll forward, we stretch forward with our arms. Remember, you can always do your hamstring stretch here as well. And then you scoop those abdominals and begin to roll back down. all the way down to the floor. Last time. And inhale. Exhale. Roll through. Stretch, 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 stretch. Stretch out those legs. Reach into your heels. Get your hamstring stretch there. And then bend the knees again. Scoop those abdominals. Relax your shoulders from your ears. Roll down. One last roll up. Bringing yourself up into a seated position at the end of your mat. Bring your feet to your seat. Eyes onto the knees as we go into our rolling like a ball. Tipping the pelvis. Using your breath to balance behind those sit bones. Scooping those muscles. Exhale. Rolling right through the center of the spine. Keep your eyes on your knees. Try and keep your knees hugging in towards your chest. And last one, scooping those abdominals. Good. Okay, feet to the floor, arms forward. Roll yourself back. Now, if you find on single leg stretch that your head and neck really suffer, then use the hands behind the head option. Otherwise, drag one knee in towards your chest and stretch the opposite leg away. And we alternate with our chest lifted off the floor, or alternatively, you can just have your head down and do the leg movement. So choose the one that works for you. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to center. Release the head and chest down to the floor. Take the feet and hands down onto the mat. Into our double foot lift. So sacrum heavy into the floor. Okay, we float our heels, shoulders wide. Without any change in the spine, we bring our feet off the floor and bring the knees over the hips. Inhale. As you exhale, take those knees away from the center. Keep the weight of the hips heavy into the floor. Make sure those abdominals are not popping out as we bring our knees over our hips. Inhale. Exhale. Send those knees away. Keep those abdominals drawing back. Okay, let's add on a little bit here. So we float and we extend the legs. Reach. Find the diagonal, whether or not it's vertical for you or whether it's a little bit further away from the center to add challenge. Bend the knees and back down. Okay, just 2 more. Heels lifting, knees over hips. Extend the legs, reach, bend, come back down. If the leg extension is not for you, leave it out and just go with your double foot lift. Reach, bend, and then feet back down to the floor. Both hands behind the head now as we go into our obliques. Tailbone down if you're going to do it with your feet on the floor or in tabletop if that option is yours. Okay, lift your chest and head heavy, and we alternate, reaching forwards towards the outside of the opposite knee, just making sure that you're not twisting onto that opposite shoulder too much. You are lifting forwards. And if you want to come to tabletop now, squeeze those knees together and again, alternating side to side. Keep that tailbone weighted into the floor. Hips nice and still. And last 2 and 1. Come back to center. Release your head and chest and back down to the floor we go. From here, we're going to roll onto our fronts and do a little bit of breaststroke work. Back of the body is often ignored in core work, so I always like to make sure that you get a little bit of extension in. Remember, if you get any tension into the lower back as you're lifting up, then pop something underneath your abdomen. Have your legs extended long, forehead down, hands to the sides of the shoulders. Now, feel your pubic bone connection as we lift chest, then head. Feel like the elbows and shoulders are dragging back, and then release and out. So find the level that works for you, but really focus on it's the chest, and then the head will follow. And you can look towards the end of your block. And then as we come down, it's chest, then head. And again, we lift, elbows dragging back. Feel your pubic bone connection to the floor. If you're feeling any pressure in the lower back, a little bit more abdominal lift may help you there. Okay. And the other option, of course, is not to come up quite so high with your chest lift, but the base of the ribs should be on the mat. And release and down. Take both arms long down to the side of the body, roll open your shoulders. Again, stronger pubic bone connection this time. Chest and head lifts. We float our arms, we reach long. And back down. Roll open the shoulders, pubic bone connection in place. We lift, hold, and release. And rolling open, pubic bone connection. We stretch those fingertips, we reach through the crown of the head. And down, and just adding on a little bit of arm movement here. Roll open the shoulders, we lift, we hold our position, and now the arms come out to the side and back. So it's almost horizontal, and then back into the hips. One more time, just working those muscles on the back of the body there. We release them down. Last time, roll open your shoulders, find your pubic bone connection, so we float our arms, and then the arms come out and back, out and back. Last time, out and back, reach long and release and down. And now let's take our hands under our shoulders, push your bottom back onto your heels, into your child pose stretch. Remember, if there's any issues with the knees here, often a block underneath your bottom can just help take that stress off of your knees as you stretch back. And then scooping those abdominals, we roll up through the spine. Coming into our last exercise, our leg pull front, coming forwards, hands underneath the shoulders, knees together, toes tucked underneath the hips there with the knees. Okay, and when we push up and we float, hold and release. Make sure you've got your spine in its neutral position before you start, and float, hold and release. Spread those hands wide, press into the ground. So you're using your shoulders here to stabilize as well. Last two, and float, hold, release. Last time, and we float, hold, and release. And we finish off with our child pose mobilization. So just widen those knees, take your left hand over your right, press your hips back to your heels and rotate that right shoulder down slightly as you stretch your arms out, particularly that left one. And then come forward, push the ground away. If you want to extend your spine a little bit more here, drop the hips forward, but support. And obviously there should be no pain into the lower back. And take the hips back, left hip, left heel. Rotate right shoulder down, stretch, stretch, stretch into those fingertips. And now coming forwards, allowing the hips to drop, push the ground away. One more time, backwards and forwards here. Hip to the right heel, rotate right shoulder down, stretch into those left fingertips. And now coming forwards, let those hips drop. Open the front of the shoulders. Come across to the other side, right hand over left. Stretch your right hip to your right heel. Stretch and reach into your fingertips there on that right hand side. Coming forward, dropping the hips. Remember, only dropping the hips as far as you can without any discomfort. And then take the hips back. Right hip, right heel, left shoulder down. Reach into your right fingertips, stretching that right hip back. And coming forwards, dropping those hips forward, opening the front of the chest. Last time, backwards and forwards. Right hip, right heel, left shoulder down, reach into your right fingertips there as you stretch out. And finally, coming forwards. Then those hips drop, open the front of the chest. Come back to center, sitting back into your child pose. Again, taking the hips back. Remember that block if you need it. Allow the chest to sink down in between your arms there. Taking a nice deep breath. And then scooping those abdominals and start to roll back up through the spine. Open the shoulders and lengthen up. And there you have it, your daily dose of core.